Welcome back to our 5th episode of Navigating Workplace Wellness, a project that's proudly supported by the EML Group. And it's one which Business New South Wales has developed to better help SMEs manage mental health conditions in the workplace. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live, and we pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. We recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and culture. I'm Liz Greenwood, Senior Policy Manager, Workers' Compensation, WHS and Regulation from Business New South Wales. And today I have Ellie Brown from Lysander Consulting. Ellie, if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you, Liz. It's great to be here. So I'm a Senior Strategic Consultant with Lysander. I work with businesses in leader, culture, wellbeing and creating really healthy team dynamics. So it's a pleasure to be here to talk about change management.
So, like the other episodes in this series, we're going to follow the same format, 4 segments. One is, why is the topic of change management so important? The second part is, what is the key message we want everyone to walk away with after watching this episode? The third one is recognising that we need some tools to put the theory into practice, and we'll provide a couple of suggestions of what you can do. And then lastly, where to from here, in case you want to look up some more resources. So, change management, why is it important?
Well, we don't live in a static world. The world is changing every single day. Every day we are faced with some sort of change, and change is inevitable. Change is a normal part of our world, but it also feeds into the SCARF model, which we've talked about in a previous episode, and it challenges our feelings of certainty. So when there's a lot of change in our world, it can make us feel really unsettled. It can create anxiety, stress. Some people love change. It can be a positive for some people, but for most people, change can make people kind of feel a little bit uncertain. And what we want to do is make sure that we create an environment where people kind of understand what their future is and how they're going to navigate that. So change is super important in the workplace.
So what's the key message? If it's inevitable, what can we do about it?
Consultation is the key. Change shouldn't be something secret that's hidden behind closed door. People need to feel involved. People need to be seen, be heard. People need to understand how they feel about change, so that they don't see it as a threat. The more we know, even if we don't have all the answers, we share what we do know. So consultation, talking to people is key.
So how do we do that?
Well, first of all, we need to really understand the value of consultation. And then we're going to think about a really simple model, again, called the Sarah model, about how people transition through change. And we understand that people transition at their own time. But first, let's kind of think about consultation and why it's so important. And this is really in your world, Liz, around consultation. It's a big part of what you do. So consultation is giving everyone the opportunity to have a say and feel heard. But I guess what consultation isn't is that you might want to have your say. It's important that you feel heard. It doesn't mean that you're going to get your way. So I'm sure you see that a lot in your world, Liz.
Oh, I do, very much so. Yes, I've come across some interesting personalities in my time. But it gets back to that above the line, below the line, and everyone getting involved and making a contribution as to which behaviours are acceptable and which are not. So with consultation and change management, if everyone can get together and speak up and say what they would like out of the process, then it can help, can't it?
Oh, it can. And if we take it even back to our, constructive conflict and destructive conflict. So we want to make sure that if everyone's sitting in artificial harmony and just nodding and going, okay, yep, yep, but not agreeing or not feeling like they can have a say, they're less likely to actually step into the change. We want to create that ownership. We want to create that authorship. So people aren't just complying. So we're not kind of just forcing some change on them and expecting people to comply. What we want to do is get them to commit, get them to own it, get them to be above the line, to take ownership, accountability, responsibility. And we do that when we've done full consultation. And again, it's not that we're going to agree with everything, but we're going to understand it and we're going to commit to it and move forward with it. So it's not about making sure that everyone gets, we can't keep everyone happy all the time, but it's about involving everyone in the change and consulting fully.
And we need to remember too, having a WHS lens, that's part of your health and safety duty is consulting. So it's already there. It's not just good practice. It's something you should be doing anyway. But doing it well will get you better results.
Yes, I mean, I think we've all seen where people have said, oh, we had consultation and people just sat in a room and all nodded their heads. That's not consultation. So again, it's about thinking about how do we have really good, I guess, robust consultation where everyone feels heard and everyone feels like they've had their say.
So what's this Sarah model? What's that about?
Well, this is a really simple model again. And, we like to keep things simple as we don't have to overcomplicate any of this. But this is a model that we use to help to kind of show people that everyone transitions through change differently and everyone transitions at their own rate. But we generally kind of follow this process. And when we understand this process, we can help people move through change. And we can also understand how change affects people differently and also understand our own kind of feelings and behaviors towards change. So the first one we look at is at the top there. And we've got a little man up there and he's kind of, surprised or shocked. That's when we first hear about a change. Now, this could be a positive. We might be really excited about it. So the surprise could be a good surprise. It could also be, oh, I didn't know this was coming. How is this going to affect me? What does this mean? And again, think about our scarf domains. All of those start to get triggered here. So the next stage that we go to is we can kind of start to go a little bit down the curve where we start to kind of feel a little bit perhaps angry about it. Why are they doing this? I liked it the way it was. Why do we have to change? It was fine. Or we might have a bit of anxiety. What does this mean for me? Am I going to lose my job? Am I going to be asked to do things differently? Do I have to give things up? So that what's in it for me? The next part is the really, really kind of, this is important. This is the bottom of the curve. And we all kind of get there a little bit. We've got to be honest here. So this can be rejection, or at worst, it can be revenge. And this is where we sometimes see those really below the line behaviors where people start to really kind of go, well, I'm not going to get involved in this. There's no way they're changing any of that. Where they perhaps start to be, again, blame, that really negative talk in an organization. What we all need to do is kind of lift ourselves out of that a little bit. And when we start to see that, we need to call it out and we need to go above the line and think about the positives here. And that's where we start to kind of come down the bottom. It's natural to be below the line sometimes. We all have bad days. It's not great to stay there though. So what we need to do is start to kind of go, well, how do I accept this? What do I need to do to kind of move forward? What's the why? And how is it going to affect me? Even if it's not great, when we understand the why, when we understand the reasoning behind it, when we feel heard, when we feel consulted, we're able to voice some of those fears that we have around this, and we're able to start to kind of see ourselves in the future, and we're able to start to see the path forward, which leads us to the last one, which is hope, healing, happiness, all of those good feelings where we can kind of see ourselves in the future. We can see where we're going, things like our certainty, things like our status, our autonomy, our relatedness, fairness, we all start to see where we sit in the world, and we're able to see what this change looks like and where we belong in that change. So you can kind of see this is a really simple model, and it's good to understand that you'll go through this as an individual, but it's also good to understand that when you're leading change, that everyone's going to go through this. And when you start to feel that some people are a little bit negative, you can understand where they are in this model and start to think about how you can help them transition through, and what you need to do to help them make that transition.
Because people go at their own pace, don't they? So one person might just fast forward and someone else could be stuck at a certain stage. So they need help getting through it, don't they?
Yes, they do. So if the first one is, surprise, and it's good surprise, this is great. I can see myself. This is going to be really good for me. They're going to zip through this really, really quickly. They're your change agents. They're the people that are going to help you drive the change. You need to find these people. You need to latch onto them. You need to get them to help some of the other people who perhaps are struggling in the change a little bit, and kind of help them again to buddy up with them to talk it through. So there's always going to be people who are going to be a little bit slower to move through this. There are going to be people who get stuck down the bottom, and we need to be aware of that. And we need to also help them not get stuck in one particular stage, because that's when we have that really negative culture as well.
So Ellie, we're coming to a close of this episode, and like the other ones, where to from here?
Absolutely. I think it's really important that change management is a process. It's got steps. We can look at Cotter's change management process that's readily available on the web for you. Think about the Sarah model, think about working with your teams, think about discussing each of the stages. Understand that everyone will go through change and transition at their own pace, and we need to allow people time to do that, but we also have to make sure that people don't get stuck.
Thank you, Ellie. Very wise advice, as always. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Liz.
Thanks for listening. This series has been made possible through the support of our sponsor, the EML Group. For over a century, EML has helped Australian employers navigate workers' compensation while supporting their people recover and get their lives back after workplace injury or illness. As well as being experts in claims management, they also help employers to reduce the risk of injuries happening in the first place by providing free training, tools and services like this webinar. Visit eml.com.au today to find out more and access their free range of mental health related resources.